you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to commend you for scheduling a hearing on this important and pressing issue for an awful lot of people in our country. We all have far too many constituents, particularly young people, struggling with student loans, and I'm glad that you're taking the time to take a look at this important issue. As almost everyone is aware, the default rate on federal student loans is very high. According to recent statistics, roughly 13% of borrowers will default within 3 years of entering repayment. Default can be financially ruinous for anyone, but particularly young people just getting started. Mr. Drager, I was struck by the portion of your testimony that was just referred to recently that described the typical characteristics of students who default. Well, much of the media attention is focused on the level of student borrowing, no doubt an important issue. It's striking how many students default on manageable levels of debt. And when one looks at our current student loan system, it's easy to see how so many students could fall through the cracks. We've rightfully recognized that student loan borrowers face many ups and downs during their career. We've added a wide array of protections, numerous deferments, forbearances, repayment options, and so on in recognition of that. But in doing so, we've created a system that is so complex that it can be baffling even to the policymakers who work with it every day, let alone students trying to navigate it for the first time. While certainly not a solution to all of the problems we face with student loans, I've always felt that simple, universal, income-based repayment has the potential to accomplish the goals of the various protections we've created, but in a way that is intuitive and automatic for borrowers and doesn't force them to navigate our current labyrinth of paperwork and bureaucracy. Many students will fail to navigate the current bureaucracy and fall into default despite the fact that they could have repaid their loan under a system that was more responsive. So, Mr. Drager and Mr. Delisle, in your respective organizations' recent reports about reimagining federal student aid, each of you recommended making some form of income-based repayment the sole or automatic method of repayment for federal student loans. Could you elaborate on the thinking behind your respective recommendations and what you think the benefits of income-based repayment would be?
I'll go first here. Well, we know that borrowers currently have a wide range of options that they can choose to repay their loans. They can choose consolidation, which extends their repayment term all the way up to 30 years. There's income-based repayment, income contingent repayment. There's 3 years of forbearance for everybody. But when you look at the data of what percentage of people are in what repayment plans, and they're all repaying their loans under the standard 10-year repayment plan, which is a pretty good signal that people aren't availing themselves of all of the benefits of these programs. And to the extent that default or difficulty in repaying is a function of they don't have the money to pay because of their income, then getting people enrolled in income-based repayment should address that problem. Now, I should point out, and that's why we recommended that students, everybody be put into income-based repayment. And one of the reasons why we proposed this is that if 10% or 15% of income is the right percentage of somebody's income if they're low income for paying their student loan, then it's got to be the right percentage for people who have a high income. And right now, it's the people who have high incomes who don't use income-based repayment because we have other repayment plans that are more generous for them. So we've got essentially a regressive student loan repayment plan.
I would say from an institutional perspective, it's extremely frustrating that Congress has put into place so many protections to keep students out of default, yet we have so many students that default. The current national average of defaults in this country is around 13%, higher if you took the entire portfolio. And nearly every one of those students that went into default could have avoided it if they had utilized the deferment, forbearance, and income contingent options available to them. What automatic IBR, income-based repayment, does is place students in a situation where their loan payments will always be reasonable, they'll always be protected from the dire consequences that come with student loan default.